Um, Welcome to the weekly accountability call. We're going to call them whack. I don't know. We're not really going to call them whack. I'm in a business growth, not seminar, course, I guess you want to call it. And we have weekly accountability meetings. They call them whams. And so I was like, ooh, weekly accountability call, whack. I was like, that doesn't sound good at all. So we meet every single week. And those of you that are on the recording, watching the recording, we meet every single week and we go over some wins of the week before we hop on the recorded portion of the call. And then the content varies between mindset, nutrition, like all different kinds of topics that are pretty relevant to the current boot campers that are active and alive in the group right now. And the thing that I wanted to touch on tonight is a little more mindset-y. And while I've had two conversations about this in the last week, the more than anything, I felt like this is a outpouring of my own personal growth, convictions, struggles, obstacles, whatever you want to call them, in the past probably 2 weeks. And so I feel like the way this business has evolved throughout the last 8 years has oftentimes been a product of my own personal journey and me just basically, I mean, all the coaches and, people come to me and talk about, oh, coaching and business opportunity and doing this, and I'm not ready and I need to lose weight or I need to do this. My thing that I've started with, and I feel like that makes me a very successful coach, is that I'm literally one step ahead of the girl that joined yesterday. Like you don't have to be very far ahead. You're going to share and pay forward the knowledge that you have gained. Even if it's just one day ahead, you're just sharing that with the next person in line. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about coaching and the beautiful thing about what we do here in the accountability. So the thing that I wanted to talk about tonight is your internal dialogue. And this might be a little woo-woo for some people, and I understand that. That's okay. Like I'm weirded out by the woo-woo stuff oftentimes. Very like hyper logical, very pragmatic, see it, feel it, touch it kind of person. But one of the things that has really ignited my fitness and my health journey and my nutrition, and just really more than anything, my journey toward being the best version of myself that there ever could possibly be, is a little rooted in mindset. And I feel like it all goes back to mindset. We talk about that a lot. But the internal dialogue is something that I've really explored extensively in the past couple of years. Several of you guys know that I took a mindset certification course and got certified as a neuro-linguistic practitioner. I guess at this point, almost 2 years ago, which is just insane. But one of the things that we talked about in that, and the thing that even though I know, like I literally have a piece of paper certifying me to be able to teach other people these practices, I still have to be reminded of them in my own self and in my own journey. And that is like I said, the thing that has been lately has been the internal dialogue, and really taking a hard look at what is my internal dialogue? What am I saying to myself, kind of thing. And we're going to work on what you are saying to yourself and kind of giving yourself some self-assessment in that. And then also, how do we rewrite that? How do we change that dialogue so that it's more productive? Because I feel like we live and die by our thoughts, right? And that's one of the things that it's not really a joke, but I joke about it a lot. And that's that you can't trust your feelings, right? Like you literally can't trust them. I've never once, people that are like, oh, follow your feelings and follow your heart. I'm like, okay, well, what if my heart tells me I want to kill my husband? Like, I should probably not do that. I feel angry. Today, a guy cut me off in traffic. I felt very angry. Should I act on that? No, my feelings are liars. Like, chill out. I can be mad and not react, right? I think feelings to me are feedback. And that's the thing that I want to, impress on you guys is feelings more than anything are feedback. They should be a pause point where we say, whoa, what's going on here? How is this outside scenario how am I internalizing that? And how am I either using it to be productive or be destructive, right? And so while, yes, that is relative to the cars on the road and my husband and all the things, it's also relative to my health and fitness journey and in the way that I self-motivate, because I mean, and there's a really, really good TED talk out there. If you YouTube search, I think it's Motivation is Bullshit. There's a really, really good TED talk out there where she talks about like there's no such thing as motivation. Like it's an illusion. What you see is somebody having, oh, I wish I was as motivated as her. Man, he really gets it done. Like it's self-discipline. All of it is just self-discipline. Motivation is like a fleeting feeling. I can turn it on and I can turn it off by outside scenarios. Therefore, it tells me that it is not fact. It is something that is manipulatable. So, for example, and this is, really the only example I'm going to use for feelings and why I genuinely want to impress upon you, like, don't trust your feelings. I can literally turn on a song right now and I can feel sad and I can cry and I can get into a deep emotional place based on the song that I'm listening to. Then I can crank up some like 90s hip hop Jay-Z and I feel on top of the world and I feel like I could like crush all the things, like to me, anytime that something is that easily manipulatable, I don't trust it. So I want to make sure that we are attentive to the feedback of the feelings that we're feeling. And really, more than anything, saying, what is that causing me to tell myself? And, I say this a lot on our calls. I talk to myself, and I hope that you do too. Truly, I really think that the most productive and healthy minded people talk to themselves. And if it's like the joke, it's like, if you're starting to answer yourself back, that's when you need to worry. Like, yeah, but also it's really important that we have a very healthy internal dialogue. And I think people that say they don't talk to themselves are lying, because even if it's just the thought process behind what's going on, there is a dialogue there. And so the illustration that I wanted to give you guys today was this morning for me. When I wrote about it on Instagram on my workout post and my stories today, but it was the internal dialogue at 5 a.m. when my alarm went off. So there are, I have found that my new station in life, and it's a new old station, because when I first started this journey, I was working out during my kids' nap times. Like I would put them down for a nap and I would work out. It was not optimal, but it was literally when I could do it. I was not a morning person whatsoever, could not get my behind out of bed. I was snooze, 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 snooze. I not even just let my kids wake me up. I let my kids get in bed and watch Sesame Street so I could sleep more. Like that's how I feel like people don't understand that that's my background. I want to make sure you understand that I was not born a morning person, and I have truly not been a morning person except for maybe the last 5 years. And now I feel like I can proudly claim that there are times when I am a morning person, not every morning. Most mornings I have to do this like self-talk routine. And so the last couple of mornings, and specifically this morning, when I woke up, I start chattering to myself and I'm like, just push the snooze. Just push the snooze. Just push it. My husband's not here. He don't know. My kids are still asleep. It's 5 a.m. Push snooze. And I start working through mentally. And when I say I talk to myself, like it's all mostly mental, sometimes out loud. But I'm like, I start doing like advanced math calculations. I'm like, okay, well, if I sleep until 5:15, that will give me X amount of time to do this, X amount of time to do this. My workout is 42 minutes. So if I start my workout at 6:03, I can get it done before 6:45, before, like all before I have even gotten out of the bed. That is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Get out of bed. Put your feet on the floor, walk to the bathroom, get out of bed. So this morning, my mindset, like, the chattering started happening. I started doing advanced math calculations. And I literally I was like, stop, enough, get out of bed. And I got myself up and went out, did my morning routine, brushed my teeth, peed, did all the things, right? And then it's like we get to the next stage of having to talk myself into something. And I noticed the internal dialogue. And it was this morning during well, I did shoulders because like Vicky said, I'm a day behind on Lift More. And so I took a rest day on Tuesday instead of normally Saturday and Sunday. And so I did shoulders today. And so we did all, it's a 3x3. So you do 3 and then you do 3 and then you do 3. It's 9, 9 total exercises. And you're gassed, right? Like totally gassed. I did not want to do another thing. My shoulders, I worked hard. I burned out my shoulders. And then what do? We do burnout. So again, I'm like, I am alone. No one is here to watch me. I can turn off the camera. Nobody even gives a crap. I delete the last part of the workout anyway, because it doesn't fit in my 15-second clip that I make for Instagram. My children are still asleep. Literally no one will know if I don't finish this workout. I don't have to do burnout. I can literally sit here and then once I catch my breath and I feel more capable, I'll do core. Maybe, right? That's the internal chatter. Instead, we have to, number one, and this is kind of where we're going to start with the like step-by-step process here. Number one is you have to even notice that it's happening. Because I think so many people are so caught up in how fast they're moving and getting from this thing to that thing, this thing, that thing, and eating mindlessly and doing all the things that they don't even know that there is an internal dialogue happening. So slowing down enough and getting conscious enough to listen to what your mind is telling you when it says you don't need to finish this. I know that there's 45 seconds of this burnout move. When he starts counting down to 3, guess what I do? I stop. I noticed for years I would stop. And even though there wasn't like a conscious thought that was happening, there is a background noise narrative that I don't have to finish. I've done enough. I am tired. And I think that it's incredible how much power we have over our minds by changing the self-talk. Like I said, first step is you have to get conscious of it. You have to know that it's even happening. And so that just brings it. I mean, there's not really a secret formula to that. What do you notice that you keep doing? Do you notice that at 9:15 you find yourself standing in front of the pantry? Stop and say, why am I here? We talked about this when we talked about the 5 different types of hunger in that call. If you want to go back and listen to the replay, that's on the YouTube channel. Like just go back and listen to the replay of it, the 5 different kinds of hunger. But they all boil down to awareness. Because just saying I'm hungry is not helpful. What kind of hungry are you? Are you sensory hungry? I'm not going to rehash that call here. It's the same thing. When he starts counting down to 3 and you've noticed every single, time he does that, you stop at 3. Maybe you need to start saying, why am I stopping at 3? What is the background noise in my head that says it's okay to not finish? Am I the kind of person, and this is the internal dialogue, right? This is the conversation that needs to happen in your head that you have to have with yourself. Am I the kind of person that doesn't complete what she starts? If it is that the kind of person I want to be? Is that enough for me to say like, I don't really have to finish it. You think about it in a race. Angela's a runner. She likes to run races. If you went out to run a 5K and you stopped, I don't know what the last 3 seconds of a 5K is. So like 0.1 miles off of the 5K, would you have finished the 5K? Do you get the medal? If you're like, I don't know. I mean, I did most of it. It's enough, right? I worked really hard. I'm kind of gassed out. Or are you going to drag your broken and limp body across the finish line as slow as you have to? You're going to finish the race. The last 3 seconds of your workout, the challenging point in time where you are making difficult decisions, or what feels in the moment like a difficult decision to say no thank you to a second piece of pie, or hurting someone's feelings because they brought something over that isn't in alignment and you don't really like it anyway, but you feel bad that they worked real hard. We've talked about that before, right? Like the guilt associated with people bringing you food. Are you going to be able to say like, no, I'm completing this race? Or is 98.3% enough for you? And so, I mean, that's not a question I can answer. I mean, I can tell you what I hope your answer is, but that's not my question to answer for you. You have to have a come to Jesus moment within yourself to say, and the frustrating part for that is, or unfortunate, or whatever you want to say, you're likely, if you're anything like me, going to have that conversation multiple times a day, like literally at every decision point. I have to self-talk, even 8 years in, I have to self-talk my way into what I should be doing. That's self-discipline. That's not motivation, right? Like people are not just innately like, oh, I'm so motivated. No, they are hyped up on energized and self-discipline. That's what they are. They have really good habit installations and they are surviving off of their habits, right? And habits can, we've talked to that about habits before too, right? Like habits can be anything you make them to be. You could have a habit. I remember and this is a little bit of a rabbit trail, but Everybody Loves Raymond. We used to love that show. And the brother, didn't he like touch something to his chin every time before he ate it? Like he touched the thing to his chin. And they were like, what the heck are you doing? He didn't even know he did it. And B, he's like, why am I doing that? How long have I been doing that? I won't say that out loud. But it's one of those things, it's the unconscious act. And so you have to start, sometimes people around you, especially very supportive people, if you are blessed enough to have a supportive spouse or really good girlfriend at the gym or, a coach or whatever, somebody that sees you a lot, that is trustworthy enough to speak truth into your life, ask them, like, what do you notice me doing that is not helping me? Like that, what a vulnerable and scary question it is. If I was to ask Matt, what do you notice me doing that is not helping me? And doesn't mean, oh, well, Matt told me that I stopped 3 seconds before the end of the move, every time. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have to immediately stop that. It means I need to have a little come to Jesus moment with myself. How is this serving me? If it's not serving me, why am I holding on to it? Is it just a habit? Can I recreate this habit? But that internal dialogue around all of that is that really, really crucial part. And I think the part that, and we've talked about this a little bit when we talked about like the people that we surround ourselves with. I think oftentimes our internal dialogue is so muddied up by negativity around the people that we spend the most time with, right? So like if the people you spend the most time with, whether that's your family or your coworkers or people at the gym or literally whatever, if they are constantly negative and they have an outward verbal negativity that is constant, why in the world would you be surprised that your internal monologue is negative and destructive? Like you should not be surprised whatsoever, because you are just regurgitating what you're hearing all the time. And you most likely don't even know you do it. So it's an innocent thing. You can forgive yourself for it and move on into a healthier space. And trying to figure out, like, I guess the last step of that process is trying to figure out what the new, and I really, this is where I talk, I said new woo-woo stuff, I'm not into it, but like, there's a lot of truth and validity to it, is the affirmations. And I feel like that's such a loaded word, especially for people who like really do not get it at all. But affirmations is really just affirming a new thought process, right? Like you have an affirmation, whether you want to ascribe to it or not, whether you want to believe that you do or not, your affirmation is just your continual dialogue. So if your continual dialogue every time you walk into a room with a bunch of people is, oh my God, everybody is so pretty and I look like an under the bridge troll, guess what? It's not a positive affirmation, it's a negative affirmation. You are speaking life into what you believe about yourself. And so if you can think like, I look like an under the bridge troll, like, guess what else you can think? You can think your thoughts. I think one of the most powerful things I learned in my mindset certification course was you can just play with thoughts. Just because you have a thought does not mean that it has to be a permanent thought in your brain. Just because you have, and thank God for that, right? Like, it doesn't have to become a permanent belief. You can think like, what if I am the coolest person in this room? Like, not that there's some kind of competition, but like one of the things that I think is really powerful in those kind of scenarios is remembering that every single person in that room has insecurities, right? Like every single person has a moment in their day where they feel like an under the bridge troll. So knowing that this is just your one moment and it's fleeting, you can dismiss that thought plug into something that is affirming, that is positively affirming, and that is constructive in your life instead of destructive in your life, it can change everything. Like, it doesn't have to be this, what is the, like, there's like a whole Instagram reel that was like, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am rich, you know. Like, it's like this affirmation thing. Yeah. I'll say fill in the blank. But like, and it's like, say this to yourself 10 times in the mirror. Like, well, I mean, if you feel like that's what you got to do, then go on about it. But you don't have to do that step to continually have internal dialogue, like I said, that's either helping you or harming you, or helping your journey or harming your journey. You know, if every single time you, I don't know, have, I'm trying to think of a good example. So on Thursday nights, we have Bible study with our Ohana group here, and we always have desserts, right? Like, isn't that the church lady thing to do, to have like really yummy desserts? And so if every single time I come home having had a dessert, I get in the car and I beat, I'm like, oh God, you had dessert again. You are never going to lose the weight. You are always going to be the big girl in the room. You are blah, 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 blah. Like, think of how that spiral happens and starts. I mean, it gets fast and it gets quick, and it turns into a tornado that can totally wreck your process. Because what, for me, for many, many, many years, that tiny little thought that I could have just dismissed, right? Like, oh, that's silly. I have a treat every Thursday night. It's part of my nutrition plan. I detach from the emotionalness of it now. I don't beat myself up about it. I enjoy it. And that makes me not continue to binge, right? And I can really like change that entire narrative. And so what used to happen is that tiny little thought would send me into a spiral that's like, well, screw it, it's already Friday, I might as well go out and have drinks with the girls after work. And then after that, I mean, we might as well go to the 24-hour donut shop. And Saturday, screw it, Saturday's for fun, so we might as well go to, you know, the barbecues and do all the things. And Sunday, I mean, like, who does anything healthy on Sunday? That's the Lord's day. They're the Lord's calories. So you might as well just do whatever you want. So then I end up Sunday night and I'm like, oh God, I feel like crap. I wrecked everything. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to start fresh tomorrow. Well, what happens when Monday through Thursday is great, and then Thursday night, which you already know you're going to have the treat, and you start the cycle all over again? Like, how easy is it to just turn it off, switch the narrative? Man, that was a really good treat. Yummy. And move on. And guess what happens on Friday morning when I wake up? I have my Shaco, and I eat my lunch that I prepped and I packed, and I have a sensible dinner. And maybe I don't have a drink on Friday night because, you know, I did have a really yummy dessert last night, so I really don't need a drink Friday night. And then guess what? I wake up on Saturday and I have eggs and I have toast, and it's delicious. And all of a sudden I start seeing progress and I start seeing results. And Amy, you were talking about in our pre-part of this about how this feels sustainable. That's because you have fixed that. You fixed that cycle where you're not beating yourself up and berating yourself because you didn't adhere to every single rule and step along the way. You allowed yourself to enjoy. And even if you did have something that's totally off plan and totally a hot mess, and it was just totally indulgent, and like where you would have verbalized or internal monologue, oh man, fell off the wagon hard. That's not a thing anymore because there is no wagon. This is just your life. And I think that that's so powerful when we reset those internal monologues and we start self-talking and having constructive conversations with ourselves instead of destructive, and getting really real about who do we want to become? What kind of, like I said in the beginning, like, do you want to be the girl that stops before the end of the workout, or do you just want to suck it up and finish? Like, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. It reminds me a lot, and this is so stupid, but my brother, God, he was probably, I don't know, 9 or 10. And I remember he went upstairs to go take a shower and the water ran. My mom was washing dishes. I think I was doing homework, and he came downstairs 15, 20 minutes later, dry as a bone. Didn't take a sham shower at all. Not a single drop of water hit that boy's head. My mom was like, what did you do up there? Showered. Why are you dry? Why do you smell like a boy? So you're telling me you sat up there with the water running for 15 or 20 minutes or however long and you didn't get in the shower? All that time, you could have just taken the damn shower. It could have been a 5-minute shower and you'd be cleaner than the 15 minutes you wasted up there. It's the same thing with homework with my kids, right? Davin flopping all over the floor about his geography homework. Oh God, it's so hard. And Amy, you homeschool, so I know you feel this like to your bones. Like if you spent half the time you did whining and complaining about it, actually doing the work, you would be finished. We whine, and are we reparenting ourselves here? Like, how much do we whine and complain and not just take care of our business, right? Like there was a I don't know, this was maybe a year ago, I posted about this, but it's still something that's super relevant all the time for me. How easy it is to just scoot through a drive-through when I'm busy and I'm tired and I'm hungry, instead of just coming home and eating the food that I have prepped, because I've told myself in my mind, oh, it's faster to just run through the drive-through. Is it? Is it though? No, it's really not. Not when there's actual food that I've already prepped in my fridge. It's actually 30 seconds to push the microwave button here. Whereas I just sat in a line for what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I also spent $10, $15 at the drive-through where I've already spent the money on the groceries that are going bad. Like it's so much easier just to be real with yourself and use that new inner dialogue that you've created to flip the script to be, cute and catchy, but to flip the script in your mind that will actually get you results. So all right, ladies, let me oh nope, that's screen share. Goodness gracious, Danielle, what are you doing here? It's like you forgot how to do it. Where is there it is.